interested in Facebook. I haven't been interested in Facebook for a long, long time. I digress. Liberal tears are flowing on the CBC. Rosemary Barton is crying because Justin Trudeau stepped down, kind of, but did he step down? We're going to examine that because there's more than meets the eye to Justin Trudeau's announcement yesterday. It's probably the most damaging thing he could have done. He's holding on to power. Who's the prime minister today? Oh, that's right. It's Justin Trudeau. Who's going to be the prime minister tomorrow? Justin Trudeau. And the government is shut down, so no parliamentary oversight at all. We've just got a custodian government that's being run amok by Justin Trudeau and his cronies. So that's bad. That's probably the worst outcome we could have had yesterday. I know I popped the champagne a little early. Some people didn't like the Nessun Dorma that we started with yesterday, but I thought it was pretty good and pretty on point. But it seems like we've been misled a little bit about what's happened because Justin Trudeau is now just in charge of the government. No parliament going on, and they can do a lot, get a lot done. They can't get bills passed through the House of Commons, so that's good in some senses, but there are a whole bunch of things that are in motion that are damaging to the country. Look at our economy, and they're not going to stop for a couple of months anyway, at the earliest, right? And so it's not great. The outcome is not great. So we're going to examine the fallout from yesterday's bombshell announcement. As I finished the show yesterday, it was 10:45 a.m., almost on the nose, I think. And I was excited because Justin Trudeau's announcement was supposed to happen. He was 16 minutes late starting his announcement. So I watched the announcement, and it's a lot of people not jumped the gun, but were excited when I think the details of the announcement bear examining. There's two different things going on here: the resignation and the leadership race, and the prorogation. These two things are different, separate, and they accomplish different things. Okay, so man, there's a whole lot to get to. There's a whole bunch of tabs today. There's 66 tabs total. I know, right? Weird. So let's get to it. First, we're going to start with the celebrations. Celebrations kicked off yesterday after Justin Trudeau announced that he will resign in a few months after the Liberals pick a new leader. Until then, he's going to stay on as the prime minister and in a prorogued parliament until March 24th, right? But people are excited because at least there's an end date. Please, goodness, there's an end date, right? And Herman says, I made it to Dairy Queen in Langley City with my buddy Agostino to grab the $2 burger deal. Guess even Justin Trudeau's resignation is finally helping Canadians save a buck. Took him long enough. And here's the Burger King in Langley. It says Trudeau's resignation special, burgers $2. So yay, exciting. People are having a good time at Justin Trudeau's expense, and they're excited to turn the page away from that awful leader and that destructive government and its destructive terrible policies. De Adder says Trudeau steps aside. The plane has crashed, and it's the Liberal Party of Canada plane, right? And Justin Trudeau is jumping out of the tail in a parachute, says, I'm stepping aside for the good of the party, or for the party, not the good of the party. So there you go. I think stuff like that's kind of funny. Yep, the plane's crashed. Here's Holly Doan drawing historical comparisons, and she says, here's a history bet. Justin Trudeau is the first sitting prime minister since Mackenzie Bowell in 1896 to resign under pressure from his own caucus. Bowell or Bowl? I think probably Bowell, but only because it's associated with Justin Trudeau. Holly Doan says, I'm just terrible with last names. Holly Doan says, government on 11-week death watch, regardless of who Liberals select to replace Justin Trudeau. The two titles I have for today's show, and I don't know which one I'm going to go with yet, is government death watch, because I think that death in the title is pretty good, and party before country, because the Liberals are putting their party before the country, and that's the prorogation of this whole thing. But it's interesting. The quote from the article is, Canadians are desperate to turn the page. Yes, absolutely desperate to turn the page on this awful, awful government. Chloe says, good riddance, Justin Trudeau is stepping down. His actions have destroyed the lives of many. Canada is a child mutilation conveyor belt as the rest of the world pumps the brakes. Yeah, convincing people to not believe your eyes, but to believe what you're told. Don't worry, when we cut this person's healthy sex organs off, they'll become the other sex. Promise, right? Oh, okay, go ahead. I believe you, right? It's just like that scene in The Dark Knight Returns, I think. Or is it just The Dark Knight? Dark Knight. With the Joker. And he says, as long as there's a plan, even if the plan's crazy, people are okay. People are very calm. Like if the plan's to kill a bunch of civilians with drones, so long as there's a plan, right? If the plan is to cut off that boy's penis and call him a girl, well, as long as there's a plan, right? It seems like that applies here because it's insane. It's absolutely insane because it doesn't result in changing your sex. It just results in you being mutilated for life. I digress. Let's talk about Justin Trudeau. Greg makes a great point. He says Justin Trudeau is not in jail and has avoided all consequences. Why are we celebrating? Good question. Good question. We've got months to endure this crap still. Ben Bankus says Trudeau says, quote, I'm resigning. once Liberals find a new leader. So he's not resigning. They won't find another leader. This is nuts. It's performative, and he very well could stay on and run for prime minister again. It's actually scary. So there's nothing in the rules that says he can't change his mind, right? He's not even interim leader yet. He's just the prime minister until they find a new leader, right? I'm going to resign soon. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. Here is Vesper, and he's highlighting the speech. And the speech was done from his cottage. So Coward of the Cottage is very applicable. And before the speech ran, like as CPAC was, recording the pre-press conference video feed, just before Trudeau walks out, the speech starts blowing away. An aide comes out and puts the speech on, and I guess they didn't put it in a folder, or maybe the folder blew open, or maybe you should weight it or put a paperclip on it or something like that. I mean, you don't think of it. You don't think of all these things, I suppose. But anyway, the speech blew away. So that's kind of funny. Bye-bye speech. Ha. Ruh-roh. What timing, right?
I'll wing it.
We'll do it live, he says. Green Crow says, breaking news, Justin Trudeau pretends to resign. I think that's accurate. I think that's quite accurate to what actually happened. Pierre Poilievre says, Justin Trudeau claims he is a fighter, so why not exercise his legal right to call an election now and face me? Because he's too weak and afraid. So the country now spirals out of control with a weak, lame duck prime minister, while Liberals fight each other for power. Cowardly chaos. Sign here to call an election now. And Jagmeet Singh is responding to this as well. I feel like everybody's watched it, and I don't like listening to Justin Trudeau as much as I can help not listening to Justin Trudeau. So if you want to watch his speech, it's, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. I listened to it yesterday. It's what you would expect. But again, the weasel words are there, and he's the prime minister still. Anyway, Jagmeet Singh is responding to this. Jagmeet Singh is in full campaign mode. This doesn't have anything really to do with Justin Trudeau. It has more to do with Pierre Poilievre. Jagmeet Singh says, below is my statement on Justin Trudeau's resignation. If you oppose callous conservative cuts, if you oppose the rich getting richer while everyone else falls further behind, stand with the NDP this time. Weird. Justin Trudeau has let you down over and over. He let you down on the cost of housing and groceries. He let you down on fixing healthcare. It doesn't matter who leads the Liberals. They don't deserve another chance. Conservatives are jumping at the opportunity to take from you and give more to CEOs. You will pay the price of Poilievre's cuts. If you oppose callous conservative cuts, if you oppose the rich getting richer while everyone else falls further behind, stand with the NDP this time. So he didn't say anything at all about Justin Trudeau, other than he's let you down. But he said that before. Give me a break. It's ridiculous. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. True North is reporting Bloc leader Yves Francois Blanchette says, quote, there's no possible way for the Liberal Party to become something else in a few weeks. I'll let him say it. Here we go.
It is that takes over this Liberal Party. You will not work with them.
The institution we are facing is the Liberal Party of Canada. It has been deeply transformed by Mr. Trudeau, and there is no possible way for this party to become something else in a few weeks. So we are facing the same people with the same values, the same ideology. We have to go in elections. Merci beaucoup.
Rideau Cottage. Just en anglais, really quickly, your reaction to Mr. Trudeau's resignation this morning.
All of it?
Yes.
I doubt it. I believe that Mr. Trudeau was right making the decision he made, even if it will cost us a few weeks before we get into elections, which is absolutely required. There is no significant difference between the Liberal Party that we know and the Liberal Party that will be presented to us after there's a new leader to that party. So there's only one way, which is relevant for Quebec and I suppose for Canada, is for the population to be called to choose a new parliament composition. Merci beaucoup.
So we need an election, he says. And so here's Danielle Smith reacting as well. Premier Smith says she's disappointed Trudeau didn't call an election in his announcement today. I don't think 2 months delay is going to make any bit of difference to how Canadians are looking at this administration.
I would
here's Danielle
say
Smith.
that I have been calling for an election. Whatever internal dynamics the Liberal Party has to go through to get to that point is kind of up to them. But I would have preferred today to see an election call, because I don't think 2 months delay is going to make any bit of difference to how Canadians are looking at this administration. Why do we need an election? We need an election so that whoever is in the chair has a 4-year mandate. And so when we go to negotiate with the United States, there's some certainty about who the players are going to be at the table. So I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't get an election call today. I think that would have been the better outcome, and it would have allowed for the Prime Minister to go to the public and see whether or not they support his agenda of the last number of years. I think the polling results suggest that's not the case. So we're putting this forward, hoping that it becomes a topic of discussion through the leadership race as well as through the general election. We want a willing and supportive partner with the federal government. It would certainly be nice to have a federal government that wasn't looking at ways of continuing to shut down production and stand in the way of this kind of progress. And so optimistically, we hope whoever emerges successful when this is over is going to be able to keep pace with the kind of production we want to do in Alberta.
So there you go. She wanted an election, and she was disappointed. And she put out another tweet as well. She says, at this critical time, Canadians need and deserve a prime minister and federal government with a clear mandate, one from the Canadian people, to negotiate with the incoming U.S. president and his administration on one of the most important international negotiations we've ever faced as a country. The Liberal Party has no such mandate from Canadians, and they are putting their selfish political interests ahead of the Canadian people by paralyzing Parliament and suspending democracy for months while they fight a divisive internal leadership contest. It's one of the most irresponsible and selfish acts of government in Canadian history. We call on all federal parties and MPs to force an election at the first available opportunity and give Canadians the opportunity to pick a party and a leader to represent their interests at this critical time for our nation. Right. So there's a clear and present danger. There is a tariff that's incoming from Trump that he has not cooled on at all. Trump made a statement yesterday, and I've got that for you as well. So he's not cooled on it at all. The country is in crisis monetarily. The country is in crisis in a whole bunch of different ways. And the crisis is exacerbated by Trump saying that he's going to bring in these tariffs, and by the Liberals saying the most important thing right now is us rebooting and having a new idea to bring forward to the Canadian people. They can't run on their 9-year record. They can't run on the policies that are in front of us as citizens now that we're living under. They can't run under their COVID policies. They try to. They say, oh, we navigated the country through COVID. Bullshit. Those liars, they destroyed our economy. They shut down our economy. They vilified and othered people who had legitimate, rational concerns. They ignored truckers and called them terrorists, and they fostered terrorism on our streets by allowing foreign wars to be acted out, to have people come and violently intimidate neighborhoods, to people come and use drums and intimidation tactics and all sorts of other stuff on our streets day after day for more than a year. But they use the Emergencies Act against peaceful truckers. They can't run on that. They have to. That's their record. A-holes. And so they're trying to run from that and reimagine themselves and present that reimagined version to the voters. And F them, they should get thrown out. Period. They should thrown out of office, or arrested for treason, Aaron O'Toole, because of all of the treasonous things, the crimes against humanity. When you tell a population it's safe and effective, and it's not actually safe and effective, what kind of punishment do you think that deserves? If you do that on behalf of a foreign country, what kind of punishment do you think that deserves? I think it's probably a really serious punishment. Life in prison, if not worse. And I think on the books, treason, the punishment for that is death. Jeepers creepers, right? So what kind of punishment would telling people, your citizens who you work for, they pay you through taxes, you lied to them by saying it was safe and effective when it was not, and you couldn't have known it? What kind of consequence? And did China tell you to do that? Are you sure China didn't tell you to do that? Goldie is an MP in Ontario, an MPP in Ontario, provincial MPP. And she says, Trudeau is resigning, but is too much of a coward to call an election. He just couldn't help himself. He had to stab Canada in the back one more time. That's Trudeau's legacy, a legacy of backstabbing Canadians and throwing them under the bus. Mercedes Stevenson says, Global News can confirm that the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will announce he is resigning, but staying on until a new leader is chosen. The House will prorogue until March 24th after the Prime Minister met with the Governor General this morning. So that's what's going on. Christie says, guys, Trudeau's not going to resign. Stop it. And Josh says, he said this, quote, I intend to resign as the leader and prime minister after the party selects a new leader. He's not resigning at this time. And as either leader or prime minister, his language is everything. He left it totally open-ended and can change his mind, situation dependent. Yikes. It's not what we think it was. It's not at all what we think it was. And there are people who say, if you point this out, you're black-pilled and we'll block you. We don't want to hear this negativity. He's on his way out. Maybe, but maybe not, right? And the pressure needs to remain. Like, this was a pressure release move, and the pressure is released. People were giving away $2 burgers, right? What happens if the Liberals select Trudeau again? I don't know. Tamara Litch says, I agree with this. It's national perspective saying, Canadians, today was a good day. Justin Trudeau announced his resignation. Be wary of those trying to keep you scared and angry by saying he hasn't resigned yet or that he only intends to resign. Yeah, that's what happened, though. He has announced his resignation. This is a win. Take the win and avoid the black pill. I like reality. I like reality better. Make up your own mind and don't be despaired. Don't be despairing. I think that, well, in the end, I think that humanity wins. Like, we will stop. I really hope. Eventually, right? And like, it took 70 years for the USSR to collapse and the madness that was happening there to collapse, right? And look at them now, right? But it's not something that this is going to be like this forever. Fingers crossed. I hope not, right? And I don't think that they have it's collapsing all around them right now. They don't have the capacity or the smarts. They're too stupid to make a system that is resilient to people just saying, F you, get out of here. No, we're not doing it. You can't make us. I'm not going to wear the mask. I'm not going to do any of the things that you're telling me I have to do. No. The answer is no. Get effed. They couldn't build a system that could stand up to that. Get out of here, right? But anyway, I like dealing with reality. I don't like dealing with people who are saying, oh no, black pill. This is what happened. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but this is life, okay? Tamara Litch says, I agree with this. Is this the win we wanted? No. Well, it wasn't a win, right? But we knew that wasn't going to happen anyway, did we? No matter how small you think it is, it's still a win, and I'll take it. It's a step in the right direction. Their days are numbered, and they know it. That's true. There's no coming back for him or his party. Enjoy the moment. Yeah, but temper it with reality. Here's Rosemary. Enjoy this moment. Here's Rosemary Barton bawling on air. Honestly, no word of a lie. We said in the Canada Poly chat, I said in the Canada Poly chat, who had tears on their bingo card today? Like, we got him. Justin Trudeau got all choked up, and he was talking about how Pierre Poilievre's vision is not the right vision. And I was like, oh, give me a break. The tears? Yeah. You're not convincing anybody, buddy. In fact, people are just laughing at you, Nelson style. Here we go.
In politics, Justin Trudeau confirming what we've been reporting this morning, that indeed he is stepping away from his role, saying that while this is a critical moment in the world and he is a fighter, he has realized that he cannot continue to fight an election in politics.
I think her mascara is actually running a little bit on her eyes here, right? So anyway, it's interesting that she's so upset that she's crying, or she's really, really high, right? And her eyes are just that glassy kind of look. It's probably the crying, but that's weird, right? Weird that the media is crying about Justin Trudeau resigning. You're probably not impartial if you feel like that, right? Lion Advocacy says proroguing Parliament to protect a political party that may not have party status after the next federal election is perhaps the most reckless and destabilizing thing a governor general has done in recent history. Yeah, so she's allowed that to happen, and that's not good. BUAC says they always knew that they were going to prorogue, just like they knew Trudeau isn't actually stepping down. Table Salt says, sit down for this, Canada. The Trudeau government funded the government until March 31st on their last day of sitting before Christmas break. They knew they were going to prorogue. They knew they weren't coming back until late March. So, and the government calendar's apparently already updated as well, with one sitting day in March on the March 31st. Before the election. And what? The election campaign starts on April 1st? Oh, right. We're April Fools indeed. But they funded it, and she says they rammed it through in 7 days. 7 days. The farmers' carbon tax assistance sat in the Senate for 18 months. So this is how they rammed through the funding of the government, because Poilievre's filibustered and basically created a situation where the government business couldn't get done. And then the speaker said, we have to fund the government, so we're going to allow this government business to get done. But then the rest of it has to wait. So they rammed this through on the 10th. So first reading, second reading, third reading, considered in committee report stage were all completed on December 10th. The first reading in the Senate was completed on the same day, on the 10th. Second reading in the Senate was the 12th, and the third reading on the Senate was on the 17th of December. So they passed this funding bill the last day they sat, and then the Senate passed theirs the last day they sat. And then, I think it was the 17th was the last day. And then now they're coming back and prorogation's already happened till March 24th. So the government is funded until March 31st. They come back March 24th and that's it. Like it seems like they knew, right? It's pretty incredible. There are people out there. Marty up north says this is the usual. Here it is. He says this is just a routine supplement. This came out during the fall fiscal update. We knew about this last year. I hate the Liberals as much as anyone, but this is not the evidence that they were getting ready to prorogue Parliament. And Table Salt says they did the third Senate reading and got royal assent on the very last day. Someone booked either the Governor General or a justice to come to the Senate Hall and sign it. It was urgency level 1,000 or 10,000. Yeah, like Table Salt's right on this one. Like they had to get this done or their plan wouldn't work. I think this is evidence. I think absolutely, like, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert or anything like that, but from where I sit, it seems like they knew what they were going to do. They had their plan. They had their plan set, and they had it set mid-December. They knew. And this is like the end of Matlock or the Columbo episode, right? And they're like, oh, one last thing, right? Why did you fund the government until March 31st? And then they've got him, right? Everybody knows that they're guilty. Stephen says, holy cow, Canada's Prime Minister Trudeau actually said out loud that he's proroguing Parliament to drop the debate on the documents related to the conflict of interest debate. His intention to resign didn't require proroguing. He dissolved it, so the issue is considered resolved. That's corrupt as F. Friendly reminder, the only thing that the CPC, NDP, and Bloc agree on is that the government should hand over the docs that they just prorogued Parliament to hide from the public. The way they're treating this issue was a government sinking sized issue. The government is completely ignoring. Yes, absolutely. And they're doing this to hide criminality or worse. And we are being played. We're being played bigly. And they're using our hatred of Justin Trudeau to play us. For real. Zoltan says, Mark Miller, with a 1,000-yard stare, talks to Vasi Kapoulas about Trudeau's intention to resign. Let's not fault Justin Trudeau for doing what he's done best, which is to fight. Proroguing and covering up all this stuff is not fighting. It's not fighting. It's 4 minutes. There's some of it that's okay. I think that I intended to show you this part here. I think it's queued up right. Here we go.
And how Canadians might think differently, because you're referencing a period of just 3 weeks. That's since his deputy prime minister said she and the prime minister were at odds over the future direction of the country. Since last year, the positioning of your party in public opinion polling has been borne out through two very significant losses in by-elections in two very safe seats for your party. Like, that public opinion polling has been persistent for a very long time. Those calls that you mentioned from MPs came in October. They came in the summer. It's not like it just arose out of thin air over the last 3 weeks. Instead, what we have now is the Prime Minister announcing this decision at a time of great tumult for the country, as you point out. Is it truly in the best interest of Canadians that he waited this long?
Well, I think the proof is what we were able to do in the House of Commons. I'll give it to you that the last 3 months have been entirely unproductive based on essentially filibustering by the Conservative Party, but we were able to put through dental care with the help of the NDP and votes in the House for purposes of the Governor General considering action.
Well, all of the, but we did this, but we did that is not nearly convincing anybody. And everybody's heard these speeches before. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Melissa says, I was depressed just watching them today. Joe Warmington says, they seem so sad at the CBC, right? There's Rosemary crying and the rest of them. I don't care that they're sad. I just thought it was an interesting observation, right? Everybody's sad. Why? Because they're going to be defunded, and they should be defunded because they're government propaganda, and they damn well know it. Liberal Party of Canada is saying au revoir to Justin Trudeau. So they say thank you, Justin Trudeau, and they've got all these pictures, and it's not ratioed, but I'm convinced they buy bots to like their stuff. Marcy Ian says Prime Minister Trudeau's leadership didn't just reshape Canada, it redefined what it means to lead with heart. He's shown us how to dream bigger, fight harder for equity, and stand firm in the face of division. And I can't believe anybody would see it that way. It's what he's done to Canada has destroyed the place. Julian says, nothing about Canada's dysfunctional parliamentary system makes a shred of sense. Here's a thread. Trudeau resigned today and shut down Parliament, so we are now effectively have a kind of custodial government for the next few months, run by Justin Trudeau. 2, only now, with Parliament shut down, Trudeau and his cabinet continue to run the government, issues government contracts, control the Treasury, and negotiate on the world stage on Canada's behalf, but without any parliamentary oversight. How do you hold a government to account without a parliament? The police won't do it. They've more than proven that over the last 9 years of rampant government corruption and abuse. 3, the Governor-General, who is supposed to ensure that Canada has a functioning government, gave Trudeau the green light to shut down or prorogue Parliament without triggering an election, even as the country continues to unravel and as Canada's finances continue to spiral towards an inflationary debt and currency crisis. Go ahead, get your party in order. Canada can wait. Paraphrasing. 4, what a lovely gift from the Governor-General, also the same party that could have ousted Trudeau for 9 disastrous years but didn't has time to pick up a new leader to continue to govern us. Remember, Trudeau's resignation does not automatically trigger an election, only a leadership race within the Liberal Party, lasting a minimum of 3 months, during which Trudeau still remains as Prime Minister. The winner of that race emerges to govern the country without having to face a general election open to all Canadians. Chrystia Freeland? Throughout, Kim Campbell comes to mind, and I've got a tweet about that later. Throughout all of this fiasco, there's not been a confidence vote to trigger the fall of the government. The Liberal Party retains its mandate to govern Canada despite their leadership race because the other left-wing parties, NDP, Greens, and Bloc, continue to prop up the Trudeau Liberals, although the Bloc has said that they won't anymore, but the NDP are. Quote, or back to this, and now with Parliament prorogue, the other parties couldn't trigger a non-confidence vote, even if they wanted to. Parliament would need to sit again before that can happen. In other words, the Governor-General, the only one who currently has the power to trigger an election, is keeping Canada in crisis to accommodate a political party that has lost all legitimacy to govern. But guess who appointed the Governor-General? Trudeau, of course. It gets worse. 6, voting in Liberal leadership races open to children as young as 14 and to foreign nationals living in Canada that don't even have citizenship or residency. How is that even legal? What could possibly go wrong? Hand on. By shutting down Parliament, Trudeau has also effectively shut down the ongoing parliamentary investigation into foreign interference. Based on a government report, there are at least 11 MPs plus multiple support staff who have been compromised yet continue to work in our government, but the Liberals have refused to release their names or to fire them. And now, thanks to Trudeau's prorogation stunt, we won't know their names ahead of the next election. 8, the Conservative Party is likely to challenge the prorogation of Parliament to try and trigger an immediate election, but 7 of Canada's 9 Supreme Court justices were appointed by Trudeau. 9, and if the Conservatives come to power under Pierre Poilievre, when we finally do get an election, the legislation they want to pass requires the Senate to sign off on it. But 90 of Canada's 105 senators are appointed by Trudeau, with another 8 open seats that will likely also get filled by Trudeau during this transition period. Yes, he still has the power to do it without parliamentary oversight. And 10, at the 1 hour and 15 mark of this January 2nd YouTube interview with Jordan Peterson, Pierre Poilievre openly admitted that because of the Liberals' bias in the Senate, the Conservatives need Canadians to help him pass legislation by becoming much more politically active. Specifically, he needs them to put pressure on their senators to motivate them to support his economic reforms. He won't even come on my show. So he wants me to support him? You've got questions that I have, or I've got questions that he's needing to answer before I have any kind of support for the Conservatives, even if it'll be a little bit better than it was under the Liberals. Like, no. You want my support? How about you answer my questions first? That might work in the U.S. where senators are elected, but how do Canadians put pressure on senators when Canadian senators are appointed by the Prime Minister and serve until they're 75 years old? Nonetheless, at the 24:35 mark of the same interview with Jordan Peterson, the leader of Canada's official opposition said, "We have the best system of government in the history of the world, the parliamentary system, not the best government, but the best system of government." How reassuring. Want. Right? Like, oof. Can't do much at all, right? And are we going to fix it? Oh, heck no. Heck no. Truth Social, Donald Trump says on Truth, many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Justin Trudeau knew this and resigned. If Canada merged with the United States, there would be no tariffs, taxes would go way down, and there would be and they would be totally secure from the threat of the Russians and Chinese ships that are constantly surrounding them. Together, what a great nation it would be. So yeah, that would be great. Super good. Not really. Like, I think Canada loses in that situation, but there are a lot of people who could justify it and would want it. And I think the justification, fundamentally, our government is not going to allow us to develop our resources. Whereas if we become part of the United States, and I don't know if that's Canada as like a attaché and we get to kind of weirdly self-govern under the United States. I don't know how that works, but not actually vote in any US elections, but we can elect our own people. Kind of. I don't know how it would work. But the argument basically would be like, our currency would be stronger. We would be allowed to develop our resources in the place that we live. We would have a system of government that is better. But do you think that the state system of government is better? Or would we keep our own system of government and then just be subjugated to the United States? Like, okay, Danielle Smith's going to talk to, Donald Trump to ask permission to do these things. But I mean, like, right now, Danielle Smith can't do anything, really, with regards to trade or working with getting oil to Tidewater, things like that. And Donald Trump has signaled that he's willing to help, right? So it's like, do we do this, lose our sovereignty, but gain wealth and control, because we would, or maintain sovereignty and fight a civil war to reassert our ability to develop our resources again? I don't know the right answer. I really don't know the right answer. Is this the right way for movement in Canada? It's gotten some movement, but I think we're being manipulated. I think we're being politically manipulated by Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. Like, Trump threatening the tariffs has created urgency around addressing that issue. And so that urgency is translated into political action in Canada. And so that's how Trump's bully pulpit, Trump making these statements, gets him what he wants, because he says, I'm going to do this if you don't respond. And then people don't want that to happen, so they respond and change their behavior, hopefully, right? And so, like, we're watching the results of all of that, and like, but I don't know how it's all going to ultimately turn out. I feel like there need to be a lot of pain in order to facilitate Canada being okay with that. But I don't know how you are okay with that. Like, would you have a referendum? Would Justin Trudeau say, listen, everybody, we're going to have a referendum on Tuesday. It's going to be, do you want to join the United States as the 51st or, one of the next 10 states or whatever it is? Yes or no, that'll be that. I don't think that'd happen. I think that if we did get acquired by the United States, we wouldn't get a say about it at all. Like, we're on this ride, and we just found out that the roller coaster, turns you into an American citizen too. Yay, or boo. I don't know. I don't think we're going to get a say. If that happens, if there's a kind of a twist and a turn where we become some kind of whatever of the United States, I don't know that Canada will have the citizens will have any kind of say. I think there'll be some kind of crisis that necessitates these changes happening rather than a usual order of things. The other thing that I saw, Canada Poly Chat as well said, Don Jr.'s in Greenland, and apparently Donald Trump is like firming up the offer to sell or offer to buy, excuse me. So, like, and again, I'm not on board. I don't think that it's a good idea for Canada to join the United States, because that moves us into a globalist New World Order configuration much faster than staying independent does, right? So I'm not the person who's rah sis boomba, let's go United States. I can see the argument on one side and I can see the argument on the other side, and I think they're robust arguments. But Jeepers Creepers, I don't know the solution. I can't see what's going to happen next, because it seems like, I was saying to my family, I think Trump's serious. I think if somebody said, buy Canada, what are we talking here? And then Trump would respond, what do you need? Basically, like, now we're negotiating, right? Like, the only question now is how far apart are we, and how close together can we get? And like, it seems crazy, because I could see that direction. And there are people who are saying, no, that'll never happen. It'll never, ever happen logistically and all the rest of it. There are other territories that have become a part of the United States, and they're like quasi self-governed. Anyway, it's happened. And so could it happen to Canada? I want to think no, but I think, my gosh, Trump, I think, is serious. I think he's dead serious. If somebody said, you want to buy Canada for real? Like, give me an offer, a real offer, a for real 100%, can't take it back offer, sign it and stuff. I think he'd give it over. I think he'd say, yeah, I'll buy Canada, and here's the terms, and here we go. But I don't think that he'd give Canada the option. I think if he saw the opportunity to acquire it, he would do it. If somebody was like, if we do this and do this and do this, then you get Canada, he'd be like, do it. I think he would, because I think he's that kind of guy. So people say he's joking. I don't think he's joking. That's what I mean. Brian Lilly says, and so back to Trudeau and Trump. Trudeau, a lame duck, is going to negotiate with Trump. I'm furious that Trudeau has put the country in this position, and you should be furious too. Brian Lilly gives a 3.5 minute kind of breakdown of why he's furious, and then he summarizes it in the last 40 seconds. So we'll listen to the last 40 seconds. I don't know where he is. Maybe he's on an all-inclusive vacation. He's like, oh man, I take a vacation and the whole government, well, nothing happens. But Trudeau announces that something might happen months from now. Here we go.
Justin Trudeau has put us in a horrible situation where he is a lame duck prime minister till sometime in March, if not later, while he's going to negotiate with Trump, who is serious about this tariff threat, and our economy hangs in the balance. Who thought this was a good idea other than Justin Trudeau? Oh, and by the way, I know he has promised to spend $1.3 billion on border measures over the next 5 years. I don't think that's enough, but even if it was, he can't spend it right now. Why? Because the House is prorogued. That money has never been voted on. It's never been voted on once. If this was a small amount of money, the government could do it. We're talking tens of millions of dollars this year supposed to be spent. So we're not going to be spending the money to make the changes on the border that Trump is demanding and that Trudeau has now promised, because he can't do it. This guy is a complete disaster.
So he's talking about fiscal year, right? So fiscal year 23, 20, or 24, 25 will end sometime in like, I don't know when the last day is, but sometimes it's the end of March and April 1st is the start of the new year, or sometimes it's the end of April and May 1st is the start of the new year. Whenever we get our budget, right? So like that's and so who knows when that's going to happen? Summer, maybe? Jeepers Creepers. And with, oh, it's not Chrystia Freeland, Dominic LeBlanc, but he's putting himself forward as a leader for the Liberal Party. So he's going to put Freeland back in as the finance minister. Tristan Hopper says, I'm trying to think of a decision Trudeau could have made that would have screwed the country over even more, but I'm not seeing it. He can't prorogue past late March because the government runs out of money, so he's snatching up as much time as he possibly can and then leaving the mess for someone else, with call a snap election being the clear favorite. He did the exact opposite as far as was possible. So yeah, he's screwing the country over, and everybody knows it. Rebel News, Ezra Levent tells Charlie Kirk why Trudeau's move to resign as Liberal leader and prorogue Parliament is just a way to temporarily retain power. In a way, he suspended democracy just to give himself 3 more months of power and perks. So that's Ezra Levent's take on this whole thing, or part of it. Eva says, the Governor General's decision to allow a prorogation is a betrayal of the essence of Canadian democracy. Intentionally or not, she's allowed herself and her office to be used as the Liberal Party's stool pigeon. Yep, so the National Post has got this one. Governor General betrays Constitution by letting the Liberals escape Parliament. With all the uncertainty about just exactly who is leading the Liberal Party and when an election might be called, one thing is crystal clear. Governor General Mary Simon was wrong to approve Prime Minister Trudeau's request to prorogue Parliament. She should have flat out refused. Why? It's based on a simple but easily misunderstood reality. The Liberal Party is not the government. The whole issue is the Liberal leadership selection is irrelevant. Our government is headed by Trudeau and his ministers. These are the people who must hold the confidence of Parliament, and at present, they obviously do not. He's right. Every single other party in Parliament has now announced publicly that they no longer have confidence in the current government. This might not matter if the Trudeau government had a majority, but of course it does not. It has been a government in a minority situation and at the whim of other parties, mostly the NDP. The Liberals, the leader of the NDP has announced that party will no longer support the government. The Bloc Québécois said the same, and the Conservatives have been trying to vote with the government, or have been trying to vote the government out at every opportunity. This is what matters in a parliamentary system, the confidence of Parliament, or absolute lack of it. This isn't even to speak about the public opinion polls, which put the current government's popularity somewhere along the deep ocean floor alongside the Titanic. We're talking near Kim Campbell levels, blowout levels of unpopularity. Yeah, they're not going to... except the elections are rigged. But they're not going to win the next election, except the elections are rigged. Peter Mackenzie says, putting the partisan interests of the governing party ahead of the country has put Canada in a vulnerable place. Economy, security, trade, and foreign relations, and many other areas require hands-on guidance. With a muddled leadership process and external forces, a recession looms. A recession? I mean, if all that happens is a recession. We're getting out of this very cheaply, honestly. The Toronto Star is responding to this. And completely, again, out of touch lunatics. They say what you want about Justin Trudeau. There's still no arguing Canadians became wealthier while he was in power. No, they didn't. Here's John. He says in 9 years, Trudeau has doubled the federal debt. Cost of living increased 27.84% over the last 3 years. The cost of groceries has risen by 21.4%. Heating costs 30%. Food bank usage, highest level since 2015. Community notes, please correct. So, yeah, they're just liars. They are just liars, and they will say anything to you, anything at all. Ted Cruz, a United States Senator, he says, to be fair, Justin Trudeau lasted a long time for a son of Castro. Russell Brand says it happened. Justin Trudeau has resigned. He didn't resign, though. He said, he resigned. He started the process of resigning, but he's still the prime minister and still the leader of the Liberal Party at this point in time. Elon Musk is responding to Peter St. Ong. St. Ong says Trump was a huge win, but we need to liberate the rest of the West or they will keep coming for us. And he's responding to Wall Street Silver. Wall Street Silver says European politicians were willing to destroy Elon's companies just a few months ago. They were threatening to fine X billions of dollars if Elon didn't hire thousands of moderators that the EU would control. Yeah. And so Elon Musk agrees with that. And Brad says it's dangerous thinking. The stage is being set for war. Taking a page from their playbook, the networks of power are going to move the world into competing East versus West blocks. Where have we seen this before? They want the West to align around the United States and the United Kingdom and push us to accept the manufactured need for war with China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, or similar array of countries. The leaders in both the East and the West will play their roles by going along with the script for war that they've received from the networks of power that control both sides. We must resist war and refuse to accept the justifications they'll give us. They're going to tell us that war is a necessary solution for a problem that they've created. I think that that's true, and that aligns well with the East-West.
You're obviously taking the populist.
The East-West thing, if Trump actually does have a foothold in Greenland, and I don't know. There's reports that Don Jr.'s there, but I don't know, right? And if it is, I mean, we're going to see a very, very big political realignment, right? Something I think few of us alive have seen, but I think it'll be a big realignment if that's accurate. If Canada gets acquired by the United States and Greenland gets acquired by the United States, that's a big political earthquake, like massive. The likes of which we've rarely seen, really, honestly. Here's Elon Musk again weighing in on Canadian politics, and he's backing Poilievre. All right, I guess. Another masterpiece, he says, for the Apple video, right? So 2 minutes and 18 seconds of Poilievre answering questions. Greg says, Poilievre is a globalist tool, just like every prime minister for the last 100 years. Yep. So is Elon this uninformed about UK politics too? Are there really rape gangs? I'm pretty sure there are rape gangs, but concerning, right? Very concerning. Teresa says, as always, Kathleen Wynne has the right words. I believe that Trudeau lived his entire life with a sense of obligation to do what he could to make the country better than it was and to make the lives of Canadians healthier and happier. And Mind Over Chatter says, and he failed miserably. Yep. Accurate. Chat News says, verdict expected in March 12th in criminal trial of the Freedom Convoy organizers. I'd said before, if Prime Minister Trudeau is still the Prime Minister, this verdict or this verdict will be more harsh than if we're in the middle of an election or if a new Prime Minister has been elected. I think that even March 12th, I think that these guys are in danger. Even though Trudeau resigned, etc., I think these guys are in danger of a harsh verdict because the Liberal Party is still in charge. So that's another negative outcome of this whole debacle. Pretty terrible stuff. Let's talk about the leadership. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful